Good evening, everyone. While we're waiting for everyone to join, it'll be good if you all can, say hi on the chat and let us know where you have joined from. Vani, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Okay, great. And Vani, you will be recording the webinar?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, it is in the live stream. Also, I'm going to record.
Great, good.
We'll wait for another 2 minutes and we'll start now.
Yes, another 2 minutes. My watch is showing 5:59 now.
Okay.
So maybe in just 1 minute we could start.
Sure.
Madam, morning. Hi, Ms. Sarah joined in.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Hi, good evening. Sarah, hi.
Good evening, sir.
Hi, good evening, man.
Hello.
Hi there. How are you? You all right?
Very good. Yes. How are you?
Very good. Welcome and thank you very much for accepting our invitation. Truly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Pleasure. You're all excited, and I think we're about to start in a minute from now. Madam, am I right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Well, Ms. Sarah, over to you. Madam, over to you. Go ahead.
All right. So, good evening and a very warm welcome to everyone attending the webinar today. Digital natives are being raised and educated by digital immigrants. This has a huge implication in the way we facilitate learning at home and school. As educators, It is important that we notice and bridge the gap between our teaching methods and the learning preferences of digital natives, preparing them for a technology-driven world of tomorrow. Welcome to the Future Ready Learning webinar. Our webinar today is hosted by SURANA High Tech International School, and I'm Kiran Merchant, the principal of the school and an educator of 25 years. I believe that education is more than imparting knowledge and is about inspiring curiosity, fostering critical thinking, and cultivating a sense of purpose in everything we do. I love to push boundaries to redefine what's possible in education and how we can leverage our strengths and resources to make learning more impactful for our students. I'm also very passionate about integrating technology into our learning system. And I believe that the digital natives love that. I'm thrilled to have you join me today as we explore the transformative power of education in preparing the digital natives for the challenges and opportunities of tomorrow. In this session today, we will discuss the skills of tomorrow, innovative strategies for integrating technology into learning environments, focusing on how educators can nurture critical thinking, creativity, and adaptability among students. I encourage all of you to engage with our speaker by submitting your questions in the chat box throughout the presentation. Your questions will be taken up by our expert during the question and answer session. And now I have the privilege to introduce Mrs. Sarah Radcliffe, our guest speaker for today. Sarah is the Director of Future Ready Learning for the School District of Altoona in Altoona, Wisconsin. Sarah has served the district in this capacity since July 2021. Previously, she served in the role of Executive Director of Educational Technology, Technology Integration Coach, Assistive Technology Coordinator, and Speech and Language Pathologist since 2005. Ms. Sarah supports the integration of technology and future-ready skills throughout the district's curriculum. She guides the schools in assessing, selecting, and infusing digital literacy standards through strategic planning, setting goals, and technology coaching. Although high school has long been considered as a finish line for K-12 education, Ms. Sarah believes that it is the starting point for life. Students should be coached, conditioned, and prepared to take on whatever is next for them. Ms. Sarah promotes this philosophy throughout the district and community by championing academic and career planning for students. Ms. Sarah spends her free time outdoors with her husband and 4 children. She also enjoys reading, biking, swimming, and boating. She loves to plant and weed her backyard flower garden during the spring-summer months. She enjoys music and plays piano, although usually only at Christmas. To catch a sunrise or a sunset in any location makes her day a great day. Indeed, it makes our day also a great day, Sarah. So welcome to this webinar. And thank you so much for accepting our invitation. So parents and teachers, as we embark on this journey together, we hope you find inspiration and actionable ideas that you can implement at home with your children and in your own educational practices. Thank you all for being here, and let's get started. So over to you, Sarah.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that nice introduction. I'm very happy to be here today. I apologize if I say good morning instead of good evening because it is morning here in the central United States. So I'm just getting started with the day that you are just finishing. So hopefully we can get through this and we all stay awake. Thank you for that great introduction. In addition to my role in my school district, I also am part of a national board on the Consortium on School Networking, which is called COSN. You can see the guidebook on the screen here. And this presentation is based on information that we gathered through a survey of technology leaders from across the United States and also internationally about what is driving education in today's world. So a lot of the pieces of things that we talk about today are coming from that guide. And you can find that guide on the COSN website if you're interested in learning more about the other pieces that maybe we don't discuss today. So next slide, please. We know that the world is changing and evolving at a quite rapid pace. You can go to the next slide too. So the future of learning is different today than it was when I grew up, when you grew up. The world is changing faster than it ever has before. So today's students will work in jobs that maybe don't even exist yet. Traditional education is not enough to prepare students for the world of work and the world that we live in now. We're leveraging new learning models to increase learning and increase retention, and employers are seeking these skills. The world of learning looks more like active learning, hands-on learning, things that are student-driven to boost engagement and to leverage the skills that students have. Today's learning looks more personalized, so we're tailoring instruction to individual needs, individual pacing, and even at times individual interests. We use project-based learning in today's world to encourage collaboration, practice real-world problem solving, and deepen understanding of the materials. When we use these kinds of approach to education, students retain the information better, and because they're actively engaged. They develop 21st century skills like critical thinking and collaboration and creativity. And employers are seeking these competencies more than just academic knowledge. I work with employers in my immediate community across the state of Wisconsin, across the country, and we talk about what are employers looking for in today's graduates. They never mention like specific math skills or specific social studies learning or science skills. They want students who can problem solve, who can work together, bring unique perspectives to a problem and think through what solutions might be. Employers that they focus on small areas of concepts and content from the classes that we traditionally teach in school, but they feel they can develop their employees in those specific areas, but they can't really necessarily teach employees how to problem solve or how to work together. Next slide, please. So I talked a little bit about some of the jobs of the future, and some of those jobs of the future are here today. And I've put a few examples of things that I've come across recently that are actual jobs that people can have. And maybe some of you have jobs like this. These did not exist when I was in school. So these are new since I graduated from school. But a job like a UX designer is a user experience designer. We didn't need these when I went to school because the user experience in computers were not something that we thought about yet. But this emerged because apps and websites and digital tools became essential, and companies needed to ensure that users experience a seamless experience with the software. Because that's what sells things to people now is the experience. Nobody wants to use software that is clunky or doesn't work well or has a lot of bugs. An AI prompt engineer, we didn't need those because we didn't have really AI. I mean, AI and machine learning has been around for a long time, but AI, as far as generative AI like ChatGPT, that's new. And so we haven't needed somebody who can understand and create prompts to get AI to do what it needs it to do. A social media manager, again, marketing is all done on social media today, and we didn't need to understand how to navigate social media when I was in school. So that was not a job that anybody prepared students for. And marketing concepts in social media today are different than the marketing concepts of newspaper or print media. So again, these are just examples of the types of careers that are developing and are available even today, and we don't know what the future will hold. So the bottom right corner of your screen shows that the skills of adaptability, problem solving, digital literacy, and creativity are going to be important to navigate emerging jobs, things that we don't even know exist yet. So we can't necessarily plan for preparing students for those jobs. You can go to the next slide, please. Technology is helping us to revolutionize learning. So the integration of technology in education helps foster a personalized learning experience for students to enable them to engage actively with the content, collaborate globally, and develop essential skills for success in a world that's rapidly changing. For example, the rise of AI and automation in the workforce, a little bit of timeline. In 2023, IBM announced that it would pause hiring for roles that AI could automate. So we don't need to be training kids for jobs that maybe computers can do. And this has been a transition over time. There are self-checkouts in our grocery stores here in the US, and we can walk up and scan our own groceries. So that was a job that was replaced by automation or by a computer. But we need people now to be hired at grocery stores that can fix those machines when they break down, or to help customers navigate those machines. So that's a job that people didn't really think of before, but new jobs will emerge based on computers taking over some of the jobs that people used to do. Amazon uses over 750,000 robots in its warehouse to assist with logistics, which is reducing the need for some repetitive manual labor with organizing materials in warehouses. So there are a lot of jobs and ways that technology is revolutionizing learning and revolutionizing the workplace. You could go to the next slide. So we need to prepare students for a future world. I talked a little bit about digital literacy development, and what I mean by that, in case it's a different term than you use in India, is that we're emphasizing the critical evaluation of digital content, and our curriculum enhances students' ability to navigate and utilize technology in the classroom effectively in various contexts. So as things change, they can adapt and use technology to help them display their thinking, or to learn, or to create something new. Collaborative learning environments help students to work in teams, sometimes through digital platforms, sometimes just in groups in person. They work on fostering their communication skills and problem-solving skills and abilities to interact in the future. I had an employer in the area tell me recently that they really appreciate being able to hire a student or a young graduate who can problem solve before they might talk to their boss about something that's going wrong, and have some ideas and bring those to the table. Those are employees that are highly valuable. We also want to foster a lifelong learning mindset. So learning isn't done when students graduate from high school or graduate from post-secondary institutions. We have to promote adaptability and exploration, so we prepare students to continue to embrace technological changes and ensure that they remain relevant and innovative in their careers. Some of the key skills that employers are looking for in the future of work and in the future of learning is critical evaluation of resources, teamwork to solve problems with new ideas and unique perspectives working together, and then adaptability for a changing world. All right, you can go to the next slide. We talk in the United States, and I don't know if this is a term that you use, but we talk about 21st century education. And I think this term is already antiquated because we're a quarter of the way through the 21st century. So we've already taken a big chunk into the 21st century. So we're no longer preparing students for a 21st century world. We're in the 21st century world. So some things that are important is integration of the skills and emphasis on lifelong learning. We need students to have creative, critical thinking, collaboration, and equip them with the competencies necessary for navigating modern challenges effectively. In our schools, we have students work in groups. Even in math class, they work in groups to solve problems and to give each other ideas and share the way that they have solved a problem to help them understand different lines of thinking and different perspectives on how to get to the correct answer. We encourage a growth mindset and adaptability so that as the workforce continues to change and as the world continues to change, students are able to easily change with it. When I think reflectively a little bit about where we've come in the 21st century, personal computers and smartphones were developed in, the 90s, maybe starting a little bit earlier than that, but they were released with the first smartphone around 2007 with the release of the first iPhone. And so in only 18 years, the way that we interact with our world and work has changed dramatically. Students need to practice this type of thinking and this type of integration and navigate this fast-paced world with the collaboration and support of their instructors before they're out in the world attempting to navigate the world as adult humans and try to navigate a 21st century world as well. All right, you can go 2 slides forward, please. Personal devices as learning companions are things that have come onto the scene. You can go 1 more. Personal devices to help students so that they have a connection to the technology and the devices that they need for learning is essential in today's world. If you could go 1 more slide forward, please. So that helps us personalize learning. So with computing devices, we can differentiate instruction for students. They enable devices enable education to be tailored and resources to be tailored to students' needs and interests and accommodate diverse learning styles and paces so that all students can receive appropriate challenges and supports. We also can enhance digital literacy skills by having a personal computing device for students to be working with on a daily basis to actually hands-on practice these skills and learn to navigate and evaluate information from a variety of sources to determine what might be the best next step or what information is the most essential information for solving this problem or learning about a key content. This also offers inclusive learning opportunities. So things are more customizable with the use of technology. So accessibility features can support students with disabilities and ensure that there's equitable participation in enhancing learning and the overall learning experience for all students. So all students are different, and using educational technology can create optimized learning experience so that we can capitalize on students' strengths, their individual strengths, and support their ongoing learning needs. Next slide, please. When students have access to online resources, it broadens their learning opportunities. It can expand educational access, offer diverse materials like ebooks, academic journals, and multimedia content so that the curriculum can be enriched and brought to life for students. There is lots of research happening all the time, and to find the most up-to-date information, we no longer go to paper documents or textbooks. We look online, we look at medical journals, we look at research articles that are posted to data warehouses and dashboards so that we can have the most up-to-date information for students to be leveraging as they're doing their learning. We can also feature collaborative learning, like digital platforms enable a seamless communication and resource sharing among students and educators. Working with my peers in India to create this presentation, we were able to share a slide presentation back and forth and make adjustments and suggestions easily from many miles apart using that technology. We also were able to work as a team to get this presentation ready and prepare for all of you this evening. So students need practice with those types of things so that they can navigate the world as people are working in it. It's also promoting digital literacy skills, which we've talked about a lot already, but having a daily practice with these digital literacy skills and engaging with computers for learning and productivity is really important. Okay, next slide, please. Beyond just using computers for learning, students also need to critically engage with information. Students are trained to assess digital content, and that fosters skills to identify biases, evaluate the sources, and synthesize information from multiple sources to gain new ideas and to solve problems in innovative ways. This helps them to have good decision-making skills based on information and not just gut instinct or opinion, and to navigate a complex digital world. Interactive simulations and ebooks are a little bit beyond even a personal computing device, where students can interact with real-world problems and real-world application of their knowledge. So simulations provide students with an opportunity to apply the theoretical concepts that they learn in school in practical scenarios to enhance their understanding and also give them some ways to fail safely in an environment where they can try again and learn to be better with their solutions. And simulations are something that even surgeons today use to practice surgeries before they practice on a human body or before they perform it on a human body to become better and more effective with surgeries and life-saving techniques. Simulations and ebooks can also create a dynamic learning experience for students. Ebooks incorporate multimedia elements, allow students to quickly click on a word and get the definition, understand what it means right in the context of reading without having to pause and go look up in another source. It helps students engage in the content in diverse ways and cater to various learning preferences, promote deeper comprehension for students. They can follow their curiosity more easily through an ebook as they navigate their learning. And then skill development for future success. The use of technology in education through simulations and ebooks cultivates essential skills such as critical thinking and problem solving and the digital literacy skills we've been talking about to prepare students for modern workforce demands. Okay, we can go to the next one and the next one. So other types of technologies like smartboards can also enhance 21st century learning. They can create a transformative learning environment. So it helps facilitate a shift from passive learning to active learning, enabling students to engage directly with the content and enhancing their retention because they've experienced something. And understand through interactive participation and collaboration with something like an interactive whiteboard. In our school district, we use smartboards, which is a brand of interactive whiteboard, but this could apply to other interactive technology as well. There's also benefits in multimedia integration. So the use of multimedia elements on smartboards caters to various learning styles, making lessons more engaging and relevant, and ultimately fostering a deeper connection to the material that has been provided. And next slide, please. We want to encourage students to interact with each other, with the content, and with their instructor to help them learn more deeply. So when we foster peer engagement with students, we're implementing structured group activities to enhance student interaction and allow diverse perspectives to enrich their discussions and deepen the understanding of the course material. We utilize digital tools to leverage peer engagement and leverage collaborative software and platforms to promote real-time communication, enabling students to work together effectively, regardless of their physical locations. This helps when students need to work in groups and they need to connect outside of school. I remember when I was in school and we had to do a group project, we had to plan for our mother or father to drop us off at a friend's house so that we can continue to work on that project. Now students can do that in a very seamless way, no matter their location. And we need to do that in the workforce as well. I'm meeting with you here from the central United States into India without traveling very far from my home at all. And students need to be able to practice that in a safe environment for the workforce later on. We also build community connections. So we encourage participation in online forums and discussions to help students cultivate a sense of belonging in a digital world and motivate students to engage actively and share insights with their peers in appropriate ways. Okay, next slide. Technology also helps us give real-time feedback and assessment. When I was in school, I would take a test maybe on a Monday, and I wouldn't get my grade back until Thursday. I didn't know how I did on that test for 4 days. And same thing with assignments. If I didn't learn something, I wouldn't know about it for another couple days, and then I'm not entrenched in the learning anymore to be able to adapt. And so sometimes that makes students cement wrong ideas or incorrect information. So real-time feedback helps students learn more quickly the information. They can get immediate learning insights. Real-time assessments provide instant feedback, allowing educators to identify and address student misconceptions very quickly and enhance the overall comprehension and attention. When teachers are seeing how students are performing immediately and not having to a couple days later take papers home and grade those, then they can help overcome some of the misconceptions students might be having in their learning. Utilizing digital tools and interactive tools like online quizzes and polls increases student participation and makes learning more dynamic, fostering a collaborative classroom environment. Our teachers here occasionally use a tool called Kahoot, where students are doing a poll or an online quiz. The teacher can see right away on a graph what answer students are choosing so that they know, okay, everybody got this answer right. We know this concept. We were about 50-50 on this answer. We need to revisit this concept. And the teacher can revisit that concept right in the moment and help students to be able to understand the correct answer before even moving on with their day. We also build community connections that way as we're having real-time assessment data to tailor teaching strategies and ensure that instruction meets the diverse needs of all of our learners effectively. Next slide, please. We also engage in lessons. We create engaging lessons and projects for students. We use innovative learning strategies like incorporating project-based learning and multimedia tools to foster creativity and help with the critical thinking skills. This allows students to engage deeply with the content while developing essential skills for their future. We also foster collaborative technology use by using digital platforms for the group projects to enhance communication and teamwork and allow students to practice and simulate what a real-world experience in working digitally looks like. Next slide, please. We also talk about the Internet of Things, and robotics. Internet of Things or IoT refers to pieces of technology that connect to the internet that allow us to do different things. So the integration of Internet of Things or IoT devices and robotics can also create a dynamic educational setting that responds to individual student needs and enhances engagement. So it facilitates personalized learning experiences through real-time data. It gives students different amounts of time to problem solve and to come to a solution. Next slide, please. We also introduce coding and engineering at a young age to students. Engineering and coding are ways we can practice problem solving, and it's important for our students to engage in early exposure to these ideas so that they start problem solving. They experience frustration, they build resilience, and learn to follow through all the way to the end, even when a problem they're facing might be frustrating. And we do this with hands-on ways with coding and small classroom robot sets of robots. And this can apply to other types of problem solving. So students learn grit and they learn how to follow through with problems even when they're experiencing frustration with their math work by practicing some of those grit skills with robotics and coding. This also offers us interdisciplinary learning opportunities. In school, traditionally, we have separated science is over here, social studies is over here, literacy is over here, math is over here. But when we do projects that use coding or engineering, it fosters a holistic approach educational approach, and they can apply content from multiple areas to their problem solving and learning. This also helps foster innovation skills for students for their futures. You can go to the next slide. When we're fostering innovation and problem solving, we're integrating Internet of Things in education. So devices in classrooms to enhance student engagement. It provides real-time problem solving and real-time access to data. In our science classes, we use probes and other Internet of Things devices that connect to the students' learning devices so that they can take measurements of temperature over time and look at graphs and understand and analyze that data. These are very important skills for students' futures as they're working in environments where these things are taking place. We also use robotics as a learning tool. So engaging with robotics encourages students to develop critical thinking and resilience. They navigate design challenges and test solutions and iterate on their projects in collaborative settings. We have to foster this engineering mindset where the first thing we create may not be the final thing that we create, because that's the world of work. We create prototypes, we test those prototypes, and then we improve on those prototypes to help create the best product for the market. And that's what we're teaching students in school by using Internet of Things devices. We also foster collaborative problem-solving activities. So structured group projects can promote teamwork, bring together diverse perspectives, and enable students to synthesize new ideas and develop innovative solutions that are essential for success in future professions. Next slide, please. We also foster hands-on learning through this digital world and utilizing technology for learning. Just going to wait for that next slide. Thank you. So STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. STEM is the term that we use to kind of encompass all of those areas. This gives students hands-on learning, helps them experience learning. And we know that when students experience something rather than, excuse me, rather than just hearing that from their instructor or reading it from a book or an article, when students experience, it enhances their understanding of complex concepts. So science is a good example where we've done this for many years. We can learn about things on, from our instructor or from a book, but when we do an experiment, that's where we really learn how all of these concepts work together. And so practical application and real world problem solving experiences for students helps them deepen their learning. We also focus on skill development. So hands-on education in STEM cultivates the critical thinking, collaboration, and creativity that we've talked about that are essential for success in future careers. When we can experience that learning and develop those skills in a safe environment where teachers can give feedback on those skills as well, then we're developing skills for the future. Students also are highly engaged in things that are real world. It helps them to feel like a scientist when they're conducting an experiment, a hands-on experiment in class, and using a probe connected to their laptop to measure temperature, changing temperature over time. When we can create experiences where students feel like they're in a real world place, they can see themselves in a career like that, and they can also deepen their learning by having context to remember what they have practiced and learned. Next slide, please. There are some challenges in teaching in this manner, and we have to address some of those challenges and embrace opportunities for learning. You could actually go 2 slides forward, please. So some of those challenges are the digital divide. We call the digital divide when some students are better equipped with technology and computers than others. We need to ensure that we have equitable access to technology for all students to help overcome this challenge, but it's also why it is essential for us to teach this in school where all students are learning. Teacher training can also be a challenge. As was said in the beginning, digital immigrants are teaching digital natives, and teachers are sometimes part of the digital immigrant population. And so we need to provide professional development so that we can maximize tech integration for our teaching staff. There's ethical concerns that need to be addressed with students. We need to balance the use of AI and automation with responsible data use and understanding the background and being able to critically evaluate the information that students are learning. We also want to look at screen time management. We need to balance screen time learning with other collaborative learning opportunities. So we know that being on screens 24 hours a day is not good for our students, and we need to balance that. That can be a challenge sometimes, but when we leverage technology tools for learning, we're utilizing screen time for the most effective pieces and content of students' learning. Also, personalized learning. This can help using AI and adaptive tools can help with the challenge of personalized learning so that we can cater to individual student needs. And these are some of the increased opportunities we have when we teach with technology. We also have an increased opportunity for global collaboration. So connecting classrooms worldwide through smart technology and being able to learn about how other students see the world and how other students are navigating and problem solving in their own communities. We also empower students so we can engage some self-directed learning and critical thinking and allow students to follow their curiosities and continue to engage in deeper learning. We also are, again, creating a readiness in the workforce. We're preparing our students with the 21st century skills that are needed for today's world, as well as careers of the future. In the United States, we're experiencing some difficulty in finding and maintaining high quality employees. When we're training students in these types of opportunities, we're helping to build a community of students who can engage in the workforce and be problem solvers and be sought after for their skills. Next slide, please. Technology is also a global equalizer. So I just have a couple of examples here of how technology is utilized around the world to enhance learning. So some of these projects are things that if you look up on the internet, you can learn more about the project, but there are ways that other countries are helping students learn in school using technology and creating a more level playing field for students right off the bat to prepare them for their futures. And next slide. So as we start to wrap up, just some key takeaways that I wanted to make sure to hit on today. First is that technology enhances, not replaces learning. And that goes for teachers as well. Teachers have the unique ability to engage with students and understand how students learn to create learning environments that are conducive to students. We use technology to leverage teachers and learning, not to replace teachers and not to replace learning. So personal devices, smartboard, Internet of Things, IoT devices, and robotics, they support student engagement and personalized learning, but they have to be integrated thoughtfully with traditional teaching methods so that we're not replacing traditional teaching with technology. We're enhancing and leveraging what we can do with technology to help students learn. We also can use technology to bridge challenges with innovation. So digital equity, teacher training, and screen time concerns can be overcome with strategic planning, global collaboration, and adaptive learning technologies in the way that students are engaging with technology and engaging with learning in school. Future-ready skills are really the goal here. The real value of technology in education is preparing students with these skills of critical thinking, creativity, adaptability so that they can thrive in an evolving and changing workforce and become the employees that our community needs to help our communities thrive. And the next slide, please, is just an opportunity. I haven't been able to monitor the chat, but I believe that the High Tech International School is going to be taking questions, and I can stick around for a little while as well in case there's specific questions for me.
Right, Sarah. Very, very insightful points there. And yes, there are questions. Sarah, as educators, we know the importance of technology and we know how technology can enhance the learning outcomes and, we can personalize learning. But how do we address parents' concerns about the risks of technology use in learning? Because that's a very common question parents ask. Oh, you have smart boards, which means, are your children learning only on screens? Or so these are the kind of questions which come up, and as school leaders or school as teachers, we have to kind of give them very, very convincing answers. I think you have covered a lot in your presentation, but I would still like to hear from you very specific answers that we can give to the parents.
It's a good question, and it's a concern parents in the United States have had, as well as we've evolved to a different type of teaching and learning environment. The way that we approach that here is to work in teams. So my area, I oversee IT, I oversee technology, educational technology, but I work very closely with our director of learning and instruction to make sure that we have a balance of using and leveraging technology tools to support learning without relying completely on technology for the learning of our students. And we still have a very big mix. And I would say that even though we have a lot of technology available to our teachers in classrooms, largely more traditional instruction methods are still being used in every classroom to help students learn in multiple ways. And teachers can rely on and leverage the technology to make differentiation and deeper learning a quicker, more accessible opportunity for kids. So I think what's important is just being mindful of the fact that teachers and other instructional strategies are extremely valuable and they're not going anywhere. We use those in conjunction with allowing the technology to help take some of the extra work off of our plate to find diverse materials and to keep our materials up to date. So I think it's just that mindset and thoughtful planning around classroom integration of technology.
Yes, and to add to that, to also help students explore diverse materials, not to just stick to one perspective or one explanation. So that was, thank you for that. And there is another question by Rajalakshmi. How can we teach adaptability and resilience to students? So I think this is in context to technology, but otherwise also if you can share some insights, that will be helpful.
Yeah, this is something that definitely students of today need to practice and work on. In a world where information comes quickly, they get their videos and answers and things very quickly off of technology, we have to explicitly work on resilience. And I think that comes through practice and support in the classroom. So I talked a little bit about robotics. We have some of our third grade students, which would be around 8, 9, 10 years old. They're working with robotics in the classroom to program a little bumblebee to move forward, go to the right, move forward, go to the right, to get from start to end on a very simple maze that might be taped out on the floor. Students get extremely frustrated when their little bee goes forward and then turns left instead of right, and they're so frustrated. But working with them to say, that's no problem. We're just going to start over and we're going to debug that. We're going to figure out where the problem is. And then we're going to start again and see if we can figure out what went wrong. And I think it's the support and encouragement of teachers that helps build that resiliency in the classroom, which can apply to outside at recess as students are problem solving with playing a game of kickball and it's not going how they wanted it to go.
Right. And I think that's where the human element comes in. Right. And there's another question from Aishwarya. Can you please elaborate on how can online simulations or virtual labs help students explore real world problems?
Yeah. So an example that we use here in science is one of our high school classes is human anatomy and physiology. And we students are learning about human anatomy and physiology, but they might have an anatomage table. So it's like a big flat TV that is like a table, and they can look at different body systems, explore them, see how they work, see things move, without having to have access to a regular human body. So they can get their questions answered by exploration, through some of these online simulations, versus maybe reading about it or just watching a video, which is passive learning. They can be actively engaged in the learning that they're trying to figure out.
Amazing. We learned about human body through textbooks with the 2D diagrams, that was very, I used to find them very boring. So, but the next question is from Swarnalata. Will this deluge of information lead to lack of retention?
That's a really good question. And I think that retention improves when students can go deeper with content. So if we're looking at things at a surface level, they're practicing for a test and then maybe forgetting things. When they can go deeper with their learning, they can experience it. I think it actually helps retention. But with the 24/7 access to digital information, if there is something that they need to know about that they haven't retained, it's very quick and easy to look that up. So I think they have the combination of having access to information and the deeper and experiential learning of utilizing and leveraging educational technology to dig deeper actually improves retention.
Great. And so there is another observation that many youngsters of today lack digital skills beyond entertainment purpose. This makes us even more responsible to help them see the use of technology for creativity, problem solving, etc. So can you please elaborate on that? Because this is what I feel I want to take responsibility of making my learners see technology beyond entertainment purpose, right? So
Absolutely.
yes, so can you please elaborate on that?
Yeah, and that's a struggle in my own house because I have 3 teenage kids and they are using their technology for entertainment all of the time as well. I really think it's through modeling and through experiencing learning, utilizing technology and teaching students how the types of tools to engage with that are learning. The other thing that's really important is to teach students how to evaluate critically information that they're seeing so that they know when a source is reliable and when a source is an opinion or even not correct information or misinformation overall.
Great. So modeling and also to teach them how to use technology for different purposes is very important. So there is another question so this says, how do you recommend we approach situations where we have strong emotional biases that might hinder our critical thinking?
I think that's through guidance of the teachers. The teachers have to be aware of how to help students identify biases, and be able to overcome them or seek alternate information to help them understand the other perspectives. I talked a lot about teamwork and working together with other students, and I think that also helps because you're bringing diverse perspectives together when you're team working on a problem or trying to get to a solution with other unique thinkers.
So again, human element is very important here, right?
Absolutely, right.
So this is every point you're making re-emphasizes the fact that technology and human intelligence must coexist.
Absolutely.
And
I still think we should keep human intelligence up here and technology down here. I still think we have the advantage as humans.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's another question by Soumya. What do you think is the future of virtual classrooms using VR technology, where learner can feel he is in the classroom even when he is unable to join the physical classroom due to any genuine reasons? Wow.
So I still believe that being in the classroom and being together in person is the best way for students to learn in our world. But I understand this question is coming from a genuine reason why a student can't be in a classroom. And I'll tell you a story about a student who we worked with who was a kindergarten student. and she was severely immunocompromised. So she couldn't be at school because she would get ill, and if she got ill with anything, she would probably die. So her parents still wanted her to be able to experience school. What we did was we set up an iPad on top of it was a remote control, almost robot. And this student engaged when she was feeling up to things with her classroom through this iPad. So her face was on there. She was able to talk to other students. She, from home, navigated her robot through the hallway. That's a really extreme example, but that is something that we did to help that student feel a sense of belonging to school when she really couldn't be there. So I think there's ways we can be creative in building some hybrid experiences for students that may need to have some alternate learning environments. We also use VR for virtual field trips in our schools. So students can put on the VR goggles and they might go to a place that they were reading about in a book that we wouldn't be able to travel to, but they can experience it a little bit more in 3 dimensions through the VR than looking at static pictures.
Absolutely. So we also have an example of including a student who cannot attend school regularly because of certain situations at home. And the student joins us through technology and he's part of the class. And he's on par with the class, working as much as the students, whatever the students are doing in the physical classroom. So again, the power of technology and the skill of the teacher combined together can really make a big difference there.
Absolutely.
There is another question. Wow, I like questions are pouring in, Sarah, and I hope we have the time to answer all of them. So there's this question, can differentiated instructions in a class really help students progress? Do you follow this in your classrooms?
Yes, research says that differentiated instruction does help students progress, and we do follow that in our classrooms. And where we see student learning gaps closing is where differentiated instruction is being leveraged in the best ways. So instructional strategies to help all students learn. We call it teaching to the margins here. So we teach to the margins instead of the center. The students at the center still learn when we teach to the margins. So we do see that in our classes, in our classrooms as well, as being a beneficial strategy.
Wonderful. Okay. And there's another question. There is no doubt that our present generation students can easily explore and adapt to new technology. But as teachers, how should we make them understand human values are more important as well in their progress? So again, the human element and technology. So yeah.
I think in the world we're in today, we have to explicitly tell kids that human interaction and the human intelligence is more important than technology. I think that we have to show them how to leverage technology, but we have to just flat out tell them that human intelligence, human interaction, the way we treat other people, and the way that we collaborate and work together is essential to creating a world that people want to stay engaged with each other. I think we just have to model it and we have to tell them. And that's important in the online world as well. We in the US, we struggle with online bullying and students bullying each other online. And we have to, we wouldn't tolerate them talking to each other like that in our classrooms. We have to teach them that goes to the online world as well.
Right. So systems and practices to be set in place for that. Wonderful. There is another question. How can we manage with the heterogeneous set of students in a class? I think, again, the element of differentiation that you spoke about, but if there is something else you want to add to this for this response, Sarah?
Well, and this is again where the human element and teachers come into play, because teachers know their students. Teachers know what their students need. They care about their individual students. And I think that's what helps us. But as a school district, we teach our teachers how to leverage technology so that when they know what their kids need, we can help them get access to the tools that they could use to teach a heterogeneous set of of students with different needs, different backgrounds, and different interests.
Wonderful. Right. Thank you so much, Sarah, for this presentation and for answering the questions so patiently. And we will always believe, no matter what, that nothing can take the human element away from anything, no matter whatever the technology is. It's the human beings which makes a difference, whether it is sending a satellite to the space or using a robo inside the classroom. So thank you so much. And as we wrap up today's insightful discussion, it is essential to reflect on the transformative journey of education, especially in light of the recent global developments and challenges. I think throughout the presentation, Sarah has very, explicitly mentioned that the world is evolving, and we need to, as educators and as parents, we need to keep pace with it and prepare our children, our students, for the world of tomorrow, something which we cannot see, today. So adaptability, resilience, use of technology, constructive use of technology, all this has to be taught in a very intentional manner. So therefore, it is important that we include all these elements in our daily school activities. And I believe in this transition, there will always be anxieties, like with every innovation and discovery, there has been what we call it as anxiety cycle. When something is first invented or discovered, there's always a lot of fear around it. In fact, I was listening to a very interesting podcast yesterday where the speaker gave an example of, when trains first came in, people didn't accept them as mode of transports. They were afraid of traveling, commuting with the, train running, I think, 30 kilometers in an hour. The speed was unbelievable for them at that point of time. And today we have bullet trains and right. And we look forward to such technology now. So yeah, this anxiety cycle will always be there, but I think it is important that we navigate through them so that our children, get to understand the world of future, and also to bring in effectiveness in education for future. So educators and parents, let's come together and commit to create a more inclusive and effective learning environments. And this can happen by embracing continuous improvement and leveraging technology wisely and thoughtfully. With this, we can prepare our students not just for academic success, but also for a rapidly evolving workforce. And before we end this presentation, I would like my audiences to know that we are coming soon with another webinar, which will be strategic planning for schools. And this will be by Lucy Gray, and we will announce the date shortly. And we look forward to your presence in this webinar also. So thank you so much for your participation and engagement today. And thank you so much, Sarah, once again for this wonderful presentation, and a lot of insightful examples also during the course of presentations. So thank you so much, and have a great day, Sarah. And for the rest of you, have a great evening ahead.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Shall I close the session now?
Yes, you can close the session.